Those two dudes from Suits.
Were they brothers?
I don't know. The point is, epic brother duos.
Indeed. And no such duo is more epic than Sam and Dean Winchester.
And there would be no Sam and Dean without these next two gentlemen. And let's be honest, in fact, there would be no show.
Their chemistry both on and off screen has been the lifeblood of the show's success.
They also happen to be two of the most professional and kind guys we've ever had the pleasure of knowing. They are loyal to each other, gracious to their crew, devoted to their families, their friends, and the fans.
In short, class acts. Ladies and gentlemen,
Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki. Wow.
well, good night, everybody. All right, let's get into some questions. What do you say? So first, we'd like to ask Jared and Jensen, just where your head's at. You grew up with the show, and now it comes to an end. How you feeling about it all?
That's so mean to start with us. I'm trying not to cry.
That's our goal. Just be me.
Can we all just start crying and so I don't feel so bad? I mean, Jensen was talking about how much he'd love to answer the question first.
I will say, well, first, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here with us and making this really a special final time here as a Supernatural panel. I'm really nervous right now, and I how many times have we done this? A lot. And I don't think I've ever been nervous, and now I'm nervous, and I don't know why. But it feels good to feel something.
Do it again? Okay.
Quickly devolved. I'm not going to miss that.
No. It quickly devolved from an emotion. But there's a lot of weight behind this. I mean, you basically grew up as actors and as people on this show. Your lives are inexorably linked to each other and to the crew you've worked with. As it comes to this epic chapter, when you reflect back on it, what is your takeaway from the experience overall?
That is the most grand question of all time.
Pretty much.
How's your life been,
After
guys?
becoming a father and a parent and an actor, what is the meaning of life? Jared and Jensen?
Well, my follow-up question is, what's your favorite color? So,
Blue. Go blue. Just, in all honesty, I feel Jensen.
It really is hard to express the takeaway from the experience. 15 years is a lot. Well, we'll say 14 and change. It's a long time. This guy was just in his early 20s.
I was just born.
You were just born. And we hooked it up to Vancouver, thinking that we'd just put our lives on hold, just press pause for maybe a season, maybe two. We knew we had something good. We might have even gotten something like 3 seasons out of it.
That's asking too much.
And then we would then, come back and press play, and life would go on, and it never got unpaused, and I'm very thankful that it didn't, because it's been quite a ride, and it's hard to express what we're going to take away from that, but lifelong friends, experiences of a lifetime, and this is
Sir.
it's hard to put in.
Thank y'all so much. For me, the legacy is going to be, he and I have talked about this, and we actually talked about this for about 2 or 3 hours last night, about the show and about how lucky we are, and we still have a job to do. But I feel like I'm really lucky because my friendships won't go away, and Sam Winchester, for me, won't go away. He'll be a part of me forever. And, you know, so...
Yeah, looking back, I'm really proud of the work that this team has done for this long. To do a show is not easy. To make television is not as easy as people may think. You know, you see the 42 minutes that that we release to the masses, but to get those 42 minutes is 8 days of very intensive work. And
After it's already been written.
And after that's just the filming of it. There's pre-production, there's prep, there's the writing, there's the conceptualizing. There's a lot that goes in, and it takes a lot of very talented people to give you guys the best product we can make. And I'm really proud of that product. And after this long on a show, to still truly love what we do and be proud to hang my hat on that at the end of the day is that's what I'm gonna take with this. That's one of the legacies that I'm proud of is knowing that I put it in. I put in the effort. We all did. Everybody puts it in. Nobody phones it in here. And I'm thankful that you guys can appreciate that.
I don't share well. He doesn't.
Yeah, guys, thanks for showing up, you know, because without you, we wouldn't be here. And it's an amazing thing to see this many faces who appreciate what we do. We love you guys very much. Thank you.
Your camera's out. I'm the luckiest man on the planet. My cup floweth over. Thank you guys very much. I'm gonna miss you.
Supernatural fans in this room and the world over, a final goodbye from Hall H. From Mr.
Hello. My name's Jensen.
Oh, really?
Nice to meet you. Happy to meet you.
What brings you here?
Stranger Things.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. You've done the show for a long time, 15 years. As it's gone on, do you feel it's gotten harder or easier to sustain it, to keep it moving, to keep that engine going after all these years?
I think it's gotten easier.
Good.
You know, in the beginning, we were very much on the bubble. We didn't know if we were going to live to see the next season. You know, that we survived a merge where, you know, WB and UPN merged as one, and the president of Warner Brothers, or of the WB network, David Gennellari, who was a big champion for Supernatural, did not make the transition. Don Ostroff, who was president of UPN, she ended up taking the desk at CW. So she kind of inherited us, and we didn't know if she was going to keep us on because we weren't her show. And luckily, the show found an audience big enough to justify keeping it around, and as we started to continue down the road, and we got to season 3 and then season 4 and season 5, we really kind of locked into a good sized market. Then I think that's when we started to really hit cruise control. And once we knew we were kind of out of the woods as far as getting the acts, we were able to kind of just dial in and not be nervous about whether or not we were going to have a job, but really dial into the characters and dial into the storytelling, and because when you take that kind of nervousness of that unknown of like, I mean, is this the last season? Is this the last episode? You can really sit back and start to let those creative juices flow. So I feel like these past few years have been some of our best seasons, some of our best years, and for me, been some of the most fun storytelling and playing Dean because I'm so comfortable with this character and snapping into it. In fact, some of the guest stars that come on the show who haven't been on the show before, Jared and I will be talking about something stupid, I'm sure, and laughing and cutting up and just being real idiots because that's the kind of set we have. And then they'll be slating the camera. Camera's rolling, sound is rolling, locations has locked it up, and they're literally about to yell action, and we're still laughing at a stupid fart joke, and they yell action, and we just snap right into character. And for the guest stars who are there, they're going like, "What's going on? What's happening? Are we not doing the scene?" So I'll never forget one guest star. Just we did a scene, and the camera operator was like taking his pants down in the middle of the scene to try to make us laugh, and I'm trying to make somebody else laugh, and I mean it was just like a tomfoolery at its best. And when they yelled cut, the guest star just looked at us and she was like, "Who are you people?" We are supernatural.
How did you start discussions about ending the show with Jared, with Bob Singer? How did that come about?
Those discussions probably started happening about 2 years ago, and it wasn't like it wasn't necessarily how, it was when. Jared's a father of 3. I'm a father of 3. We've got young ones at home. We've got when we started the show, we were young, single, and now we're both married, 3 children. And I think it was just getting to a point where we were getting pulled, and it was getting heavy with wanting to be able to concentrate and focus on our job, but then also trying to be a present figure at home. And so I think we started having those conversations of we should do it before the product suffers. We should do it before we can't, before it gets hard to tell the story, before the characters become too elusive from us and the show goes downhill. He and I were like, yeah, I don't want to be there when the car runs out of gas. And so that kind of started the conversation with each other, with other people, and it just kind of was all roads kind of pointed to let's go out on top and let's do it in season 15.
For a long time you were saying you wanted Butch and Sundance ending.
Yeah.
Lately you've been saying more open ending, a little bit. How are you feeling about the ending now that you know what it is?
To be honest, it was I had trouble digesting it, and it took me a while to kind of understand, and it didn't come to me on my own. I made a few phone calls to some folks to get their opinion and ask them why am I tripping over this? And I realized I'm just too close to it. I'm too close to these guys. I'm too close to the story, and for any sense of finality to that, I wasn't willing to accept it. I've now gotten some clarity on why this is a great way to go, and that's given me a lot of comfort.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Thanks.
Our cycles are the same. Hi guys.
You just collecting goodies the whole way?
I am.
Okay.
I'm still nerding out about this.
Everybody adjust.
Did y'all see this?
Yes.
So I've read this a bunch of times, the whole trilogy, and I guess he was contacting me, and they were like, listen, Padalecki is a big fan, if you want to come over, and he came over and signed it, so it's pretty happy, a little nerding out. The ending, to clarify about the Butch and Sundance type ending, I think the subtext to that was that I wanted peace for Sam and Dean, whether it was alive or dead. I didn't want them to be ghosts in the veil or, locked up in hell or even drugged in heaven, or not drugged, but you know what I mean, living a fake life of all their best memories in heaven. I want to just, carry on my wayward son, there will be peace when you are done. Whatever done means, I wanted them to be done more than dead. I'm not saying whether or not they are simply done or dead in the end. I feel like, as the end currently stands, they have found a version of peace. And that makes me happy. Also, I believe in 14 years, the final episode that was written or, exploding dot, in the head of whoever was running the show at the time, whether it was Eric or Sarah or Jeremy or Andrew and Bob. I feel like the final episode of the season has never been what they thought it was going to be. Episode 1 of the season. I know that Genevieve was supposed to be in like 4 episodes, and she ended up getting killed by Dean. You know what I mean? So I think that's one example. But I feel like it's never been. I'm very pleased with the current ending. I'm also. It's a coin toss on whether or not that becomes the actual end. So this early on, I haven't even filmed yet, so we still have a long way to go.
How quickly did you come to a consensus that this is the right time to end the show?
It was a conversation, and I think it's been said, so I'll man up and admit to it. It was, and it sounds arrogant, but it was Jensen and my choice, decision. We were welcomed back, and I think Mark Pedowitz said that we were, and he wasn't, I'm trying to say, Mark Pedowitz wasn't lying when he said the show will go as long as Jared and Jensen wanted to go. And he allowed us to find out, or come to our consensus. It took a long time, years. We've been talking about it. It's such a weird thing to say, because especially as an actor, you're like hoping for an audition, to hope for the 1 in 100 chance to get a call back, to hope that somebody thinks you did a decent job, to hope for a job for 3 days. We're on the clock, man. We're on the clock, man. We're on the clock.
We're getting gold here. Come on.
Now you know what it's
Nobody's going to listen to the words.
It's a record.
Now you know what it's like to kick out of your own set. It was a long, we talked about it for a long time. It was a very weird transition to basically beg for a job for years and years and years, to pray to Chuck that it gets picked up for years and years and years, and then get to a place where they're now saying to you, like, hey, you want to do some more? I never thought I'd be given this responsibility. I don't know how I feel about that. It took a long time. And I think sometime, I honestly think it was sometime season 13 where Jensen and I kind of looked at each other and went like 2-1. I think, and he could correct me. And it's really weird. This is maybe a bad analogy, but I had to put down a dog that I've had she was going to turn 16 in March, and I had to put her down in January. And it was a different situation because she was blind and deaf. I'm not saying like, well, now Supernatural's blind and deaf and pooping itself when it sleeps. Like that's not the same. I feel like Supernatural is still strong, but Sadie, my girl, she was still alive. Like she was still living. She just couldn't
all her faculties, and she couldn't walk, and she couldn't hear, and she couldn't see. But she was just like, we took her to the vet, and the vet would be like, she's really feeling well. Like, she is not unhealthy, so it was a weird. And then it kind of, she deteriorated. Supernatural's not deteriorating, I guess is the difference. But it came to the point of like, okay, I think this is the right time. Like, it's a weird decision. And then I'm going to sell him out. When Jensen got to Vancouver 2 weeks ago, I have a text message from him. He's like, man, crazy being back in Vancouver. I feel like we could do 2 more years. And I was like, let's talk, man. Like, I certainly
We're
don't.
there for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to be like Lord of the Rings that had like 15 endings.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, I think it's really difficult. It's really difficult. But I do feel like I'm gonna get back on set and be like, why are we not coming back here? But it took a long time. We certainly talked about it ending for years. We talked about it ending for 14 years. Whether by our hands or somebody else's hands, or by happenstance, or by the network getting bought out, or whatever. So we've been dancing with death for 14 years, much like the Winchester brothers, never knowing when it was going to be time.
When Mark said that it was going to be that you and Jensen could be the ones to decide, it'll go as long as you want to go. Was that a blessing or a curse?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
That's a lot in your shoes, I imagine.
It almost, he meant it. Pedowitz, for those who haven't met him, is a phenomenal man.
Yeah.
Great guy, great family man, brilliant businessman, and kind and honest. And the things that he's said that he was going to do, like he's been, you work for people that don't necessarily stick by what they say. They say it just so, like, win one for the Gipper kind of situation. He meant it. I guess it was more of a blessing, though it certainly was difficult,
right.
To have that responsibility. And it wasn't just like Jensen and I made the decision together, and then we talked with Mark and Peter and Bob. It wasn't like we showed up and I'm like, peace, we're out. So it was more involved in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you ever do a series in the future?
I hope not. I hope not. We'll see if there's something. I've been fortunate enough to work for 20 years, as you know. We've been known each other for a long time now. We'll see. If there's a story that comes across my desk that I feel really passionate about, I guess I'll have a talk with my real boss, Genevieve, and my 3 loudest employees, Tom, Shep, and Odette, and or dependents. It's gonna. We'll see. We'll see. I'm looking for gainful employment by any means.
It'd be hard to top.
It'd be impossible to top this. I'll never have this again, no doubt. If there is a story that I'm lucky enough to audition for or take a meeting for that I really believe in, then I'll do it again.
Well, you've said you might want to produce.
Yeah.
You've said you might want to retire. You said you'd look for movies. It's been. Do you know anything closer to?
I don't know anything about anything. I would love to. Honestly, if I didn't have a mortgage, I would love to never be in front of a camera again. But that having been said, I do love telling stories. I love storytelling, and I love learning. I love what I get to learn in the process of storytelling. It's made me, I think, a better person, father, husband, friend, son, brother, driver. So, though I still have work to do there, probably. I'm trying to toe the line between. I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like, I'm so on stage, I couldn't help but tear up and think like I'm the most lucky dude on the planet. Like, I met my wife and had some healthy, beautiful kids, and was able to buy a house and able to buy clothes that this gave me my dearest friends. So I don't want to sound like I'm not outrageously grateful for that. I'd like to meet my wife and kids, and I don't know if I can do that 9 months a year in Vancouver. And they probably don't want to meet me. Like, wait, why are you here? Why are you here so much? When you go back to, hey, Daddy, when do you go back to work? So we'll see. If I get an opportunity that I believe in, then I'd love to try and be a part of it.
Jensen mentioned that last night you guys talked quite a bit about, this is your last holiday situation. Going up there, being on the stage, and now being off the stage, was that more nerve-wracking than usual? Do you feel a sense of relief now?
I walked on stage there's a weird feeling when 7,000 people start clapping for you before you come out of a curtain. And honestly, it's intoxicating. You're like, I'm badass. It's just impossible to not have an endorphin rush of Jesus, I'm even cooler than I thought I was. And I think I'm pretty cool. Just kidding, kidding. But then I kind of started having out of body experiences when I started remembering man, this is it. I kind of wanted to sit out there with my phone and just film my perspective. I almost did. And then Spate and Benedict were like, hey, we're going to bring you and Jensen out together because it's you guys. And I was like, you should. So I wasn't going to walk out holding the phone. If it was just me, I would have been like, hey, this is what it's, But walking out with my brother, I'm not going to be holding the phone. I'll have it here forever. It was a really humbling experience. And became terrifyingly emotional. And Misha and Jensen and I were all like, no crying man. No crying. Fuck, we're not going to cry. It's dirt. You couldn't help but get emotional. Just the feeling of gratitude. Who's this lucky dude?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I was going to say real quick before they shut us off. As the show went on 15 years, went on so long, did it become harder or easier to sustain it, to keep the engine going?
Interesting. We became more efficient at it. I suppose easier because logistically, we were better at learning lines. We knew our characters really well. We were able to fight for different storylines that were already established. The growing pains in the beginning are real. In episode 3 of this series, you could say, what was the demon thing to find? You had to say a word, and you could find it in Phantom Traveler on the airplane, Cristo. And then, you spend 8 days making it, and you Cristo, and find out who's a demon or who's not a demon. And then they do all the visual effects, special effects, all the editing. We do all the voiceover for it, and then it airs, and go that's kind of a cheat code. We probably shouldn't have that in the rest of the series. It's the growing pains were legit. And so as it went on, it became such a family down south in the writer's room and producers also, and up north on the ground, that it became second nature, And I think it's not. And some people they think tune out and stop caring so much. That's not why Jensen and I do the show. With some actors, you can't really blame them, I suppose. But we were always so passionate about the story and these characters that we get to portray that we never. There's a saying called phoning it in, So we never felt I'm just going to phone this one in. It was more how can we make this fucking cool, which was from the get. So I feel like it became easier.
You guys would make a point to work together again because you work together so well.
Yeah, I'd love to. 100%.
Looking to do it? Are you guys talking about it now even?
Not just yet. I think we still, if this is the final game of the semifinals, we're not talking about who we're going to play in the finals just yet. We still have. This is 5 minutes to go in the World Cup final, and we're tied. So we're not talking about overtime or the shootout just yet. We did talk about it last night that whatever is or isn't next. If he calls me and says hey, I'm producing this or directing this, and I need a dude with a big forehead, I'll be like, when and where, man? Pay me what you can and tell me what flight I'm on. Where do I go? And vice versa. So anytime, whether he's a director or an actor, and whether he wants me to help produce it or direct it or cast it, I feel like I honestly feel like I'd be best out of everything in the business in casting, and maybe that's as a producer casting. But I feel like when Leslie Odom was on the show, you're like, they can act. When Sterling was like, that guy's going places. We've had people, even Alden, who didn't have lines, and Wendigo, I was like, dude's good, he's smart. And sure enough, I feel like I'm better at recognizing talent than being like the guy with the talent kind of thing. So even if, in whatever capacity he wants me to come work with him, absolutely, and vice versa. I haven't really thought about it yet, just because we still got a steep hill to climb. So we're kind of focusing on the task at hand.
What would you like people to remember about Sam, about Jared, and about the show?
I think that answer is all the same.
Just wrap it up.
That, pardon my French, you can fuck up and still be good. You can fuck up and keep going. Pain is mandatory, suffering is optional. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have setbacks. Try and keep going. Always keep fighting. The idea of no matter what you're up against, keep on, do what you can to keep on going. It's difficult, whether you have beautiful, wealthy people who commit suicide, and you have people who aren't as fortunate, who are the happiest on the planet. For me, it's working towards that mindset of I'm going to try and do the best I can, be loyal and grateful for what I have and those around me, and try and keep one foot in front of the other. And I feel like that I hope that's what Sam means to people. I hope it's what Jared means to people. I hope it's what Supernatural ends up meaning to people. We'll see. We have 20 more episodes, so enjoy our damn best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
so much.
very much. Thank you, guys.